I'm going to turn it over to AJ, a good friend of mine, a fabulous member of the Women's Foundation. She's also a trustee, and she is on the Empowerment Council, so she is rockstar Women's Foundation. All right, can you all hear me in the back? Raise your hand if you need me to speak up. No? We're good? All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is AJ Clemmons. I'm a board trustee and also the liaison to the Empowerment Council. We're so incredibly excited to see you all here today. We're going to talk a little bit about why you all are here. I'm going to start off with a brief story. Several years ago, I went to Venezuela, Caracas, Venezuela, to teach English. And a friend of mine, she's gorgeous. Her name is Princess Love, and that is actually her real name that she was born with. Princess Love and I went camping to an archipelago, and we told our friends that we would be back in 3 days. So when on the third day, we ended up speaking with some fishermen who convinced us to stay and not return to Caracas because supporters of President Hugo Chavez were going to converge on the capital to the tune of about 2 million people, and they were concerned for our safety. We failed to inform our friends and roommates of our change of plans, which led them to contact the U.S. State Department, who put out a missing persons alert to the U.S. Embassy with the news to look immediately for AJ Clemmons and Princess Love. Funny enough, we got the news immediately. And do you know why? Because every single man on that island wanted to personally deliver the news to Princesa Amor that her parents were concerned about her and to call them immediately. And I want to tell you, nobody cared about me, okay? Everybody was like, usted es Princesa Amor, sus padres están buscando aquí, tiene que llamar a sus padres inmediatamente. So the point of the story is the power of a name. Because, ladies, how many times have you had 50 men remind you to call your mama and check in? Never. The power of a name, Princess Love. So we have been at the Women's Foundation very intentional about naming this campaign Fill the Purse, because just like those enthusiastic male messengers, we want each and every one of you to help us get the message out about this problem of girls dropping out of school between the ages of, the 7th and 12th grades. We're in the process of a campaign to raise $1 million to endow finding out what the problem is, more about the problem, and what the solutions will be. And so we need your help, not only in donating and bidding on the auction items, and making donations to these huge purses, right? In your participation day, and also getting out the word to your friends and family. I want to say that Elizabeth Cady Stanton, one of the greatest suffragists who ever lived in American history, said women will always be dependent until she herds her own purse. So that's what this is about. We're collectively filling this purse tonight so that we can educate girls to make sure that later on they're able to hold their own purses and break the cycle of dependency. A girl who drops out of school is more likely to experience teen pregnancy, more likely to need public assistance, wind up in the criminal justice system, and actually have worse health outcomes, including a shorter life expectancy. Simply put, a girl who drops out of school has virtually no chance at economic self-sufficiency. And that's at the core of our mission at the Women's Foundation of Colorado, to make sure that all girls and all women are economically self-sufficient in this state. The Women's Foundation of Colorado is statewide, and we are working to lift 315,000 girls and women out of poverty. And we do that through 5 core strategies. The first is research. We fund evidence-based, quantitative, county-by-county research to make sure that it's evidence that's backing up what we say when we're talking about both problems and solutions. But we don't stop there. We're collecting stories from girls and women. We're putting stories and faces behind the data analysis. Second, education. We educate educate and educate some more policy makers, thank you, and community leaders about these problems and the solutions as well. 3, public policy. While there is no such thing as individual effort and personal responsibility, and to that end, we do fund training for individual empowerment. At the same time, the Women's Foundation of Colorado wants it understood in no uncertain terms that we recognize that there are systemic barriers to economic self-sufficiency for girls and women in the state, and we fight for the removal of sexist policies as well as structural disadvantages. Fourth, grant making. Last year we made over $1 million in grants to nonprofits that are working with girls and women, particularly low-income girls and women, and making sure that they are receiving training on everything from computer skills to financial literacy and small business development to the knowledge needed to run for political office. And finally, fundraising. We work extremely hard at the foundation. We're right in the middle of this endowment campaign, so we are trying to dedicate this money and make sure that it's there to work on these problems and to meet the critical needs here in Colorado. So let me close by saying this. There is no greater civil rights issue of our day than education. And for those, particularly for those of us who by accident of birth arrived on this planet a little bit too late to take our place alongside the freedom fighters of the 50s and 60s, let us recognize our opportunity now. Let us take our places right now and be courageous women and male allies that our daughters and our granddaughters will read about, who didn't give up because things were good enough for enough of us, but who didn't settle, who fought to the finish, who fought until nary a doubt lingered about in anyone's minds that every single girl in the state deserves a chance at economic self-sufficiency and to achieve her goals and dreams. Thank you very much.